Hi there, my name is Michael Middleton with TexasBowhunter.com and TBH Creative Media, and I've been creating internet content videos for the internet since around 1998, 1999, and more recently I started doing a web video journal for YouTube called the TBHVJ Journal. Most of the content that I produce is outdoor related, hunting related, and doing various adventures with my family. And typically I try to stay away from both political and social type commentary, simply because I know it's divisive. And while I have an opinion on certain things, normally I choose to keep those to myself. Last night I watched the Super Bowl with my family, probably like many of you did, and I really enjoyed the game. It was a great game with New England coming back for the win. And of course, like every Super Bowl, we paid particular attention to the commercials, and I thought there were some pretty good ones, probably not as good as in some of the past years. Following the election of 2016, there were some that probably had a little bit more political type undertones, but for the most part they were pretty good. But there was one commercial in particular that kind of touched a nerve with me just a little bit, and so I wanted to kind of deviate from the normal type of videos that I produce and kind of touch on that a little bit, in part because the message of that commercial had to do with the immigration issue, and really not so much that I want to choose sides on the immigration issue, but I took a little bit of an exception to the way that the company 84 Lumber and their marketing team chose to glamorize the illegal flow of traffic across our southern border. And the reason I feel compelled to kind of comment on it is because I do think it relates to outdoor activity. We happen to have family property about 30 miles from the border that is heavily affected by illegal activity. I've had a few personal encounters that have kind of left a little bit of a mark on me, and so because of that I felt like the commentary on that is relevant to certain things that we do for TexasBowhunter.com, for our family, and for TBH Creative Media. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the actual commercial. It begins with a young mother and her elementary school age daughter deciding that they want to cross the rough country of Mexico and cross into the United States, presumably to see one of their family members, what appeared to be a part of a construction crew, and I guess that's where the 84 Lumber tie-in comes in. Along the way, the mother and daughter meet up with a coyote, somebody that can help them get across, and pay him some money to do so. The little girl picks up red, white, and blue trash along the way, and ultimately it's revealed that she's making a U.S. flag to kind of tug at the heartstrings, of course. At one point in the video, she actually becomes a little bit dehydrated, and so the mother asks one of the other gentlemen that they're traveling with if he could spare some water for her daughter to keep from becoming dehydrated. But otherwise, it kind of almost glamorized it as a camping trip. Now, they didn't show the entire video, which was the journey, I think is what it was, and they showed the beginning of it on the Super Bowl, and then apparently it was too controversial to show the rest of the video on the Super Bowl, so Fox declined to allow them to do that. But they did put a link up to the continuation on 84 Lumber's website. You can check it out. You can check it out on YouTube. Go to 84 Lumber's website, and I'm sure you can check it out there. And through the continuation, they continue through the deserts of Mexico until they encounter the big giant wall. Now, I certainly wasn't a Trump supporter throughout the entirety of the election. Last year, I still have my reservations. I didn't vote for Trump, nor did I vote for Hillary. But I think a lot of us can agree that something needs to be done about the illegal flow of traffic across our borders. Whether the wall is the answer, I don't know. The gist of it is, I think that a company like 84 Lumber is largely irresponsible in coming up with a commercial that glamorizes and romanticizes what is truly a problem in the United States with illegal activity. And certainly the journey, as they put it, is anything but glamorous. Now, I'm certainly not against legal immigration. I think this is still a land of opportunity for no matter what your nationality or country of origin is, as long as you do it through the proper channels. One thing that I've personally witnessed on our property in South Texas through illegal activity is, obviously I've had encounters with individuals that are simply looking for water, but I've also had run-ins while I happened to be with a young daughter of my own, about 6 years old at the time, as we're sitting in a ground blind hunting, where a dozen or more illegal men came walking up the road, and so it certainly was more than an uncomfortable situation. We spotted them a little bit early. I don't know if they had any ill intent or not, we got out of there because it was an uncomfortable situation. There are too many stories of people being abducted, being brutally beaten at their own gates, and so it's just not worth it for us to stay in that situation when we see somebody coming. And there's been several encounters where I've been up in a tree and seen a group of men coming along, and so we just divert our activity. Beyond that, we've had property destroyed, property stolen. In one instance, we've had vehicles have been stolen from camp, run through fences. A group has torn out the wooden panels on our cabin and entered the house, destroyed and taken property. Our ranch down in South Texas is a place that I really love to go and have gone since I was in high school and college. It was a place when I was in college I would go down there and spend quite a few days in a row by myself. Never really worried about situation like that, but as illegal drug activity has picked up with the cartels and so forth, even going down there now as an adult is a little bit uncomfortable if I'm in a situation where I'm by myself. Again, I enjoyed it when I was in college. My oldest daughter is now in college. I'd love for her to be able to go down there, but honestly, it's not something that I would recommend or allow her to even do, and that's a shame that that we have personal property of my own that my daughter can't enjoy with herself or with some of her friends without being accompanied. One incident several years back that really left a mark in my mind with how absolutely brutal the trek across the desert and across our southern border on the United States is when I encountered a corpse right there on our property of somebody that had died. I called the coroner and the sheriff, and so they came out and took the body, and it was pretty evident that it was either a result of dehydration or one of the diseases, dysentery or cholera or something that was from the water that they were drinking, typically out of the local ponds where cattle are urinating and defecating in it, and hogs, so forth. Again, as I mentioned, in one instance, there was a depiction of the little girl getting dehydrated and asking one of her fellow travelers for water. And in my mind, the first question I have is, was the gentleman that gave her the water the individual that I found there on our property? That's a horrible image to have in my mind of what was once a living person. Was somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's father perhaps, really left a permanent mark on me. What it boils down to is it's really not an issue of whether I'm in favor or not in favor of illegal immigration. Now, where I do take exception is with a company, coincidentally enough, located in the northeast United States, that chooses to create a Super Bowl commercial that glamorizes an activity that's not only illegal but also dangerous. Now, obviously, 84 Lumber got the result that they were looking for. They got they're obviously getting the views. They're trending on social media. People are talking about them today on discussion forums like TexasBowhunter.com, and I'm sure every other discussion forum on Facebook and all the social media sites. I think they were way out of line for creating a commercial that glamorizes and romanticizes that illegal activity. That's what I have to say on it. Feel free to leave me what your opinion on the situation is. Again, I'm not voicing an opinion in favor or not in favor of illegal immigration, but tell me what you think about 84 Lumber or any of the other commercials on Super Bowl Sunday, and what do you think about what seems to be more of a political and social bent on some of those commercials. I'll be curious to see what you think about that. Going forward, I hope to spend more time with videos on actual outdoor activities and product reviews and so forth rather than social commentary, but I did want to touch on that issue. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.